In order to properly manage water resources, it's important to have consistent and reliable water quality data. What water quality data is currently available for water resources in Joe Daviess County? Who is collecting it, how often, and how is it being analyzed? For this presentation, known water quality data sources have been identified for precipitation, surface water, springs, and groundwater. In 1977, U.S. state agricultural experiment stations organized a project later titled the National Atmospheric Deposition Program, or NADP, to measure atmospheric deposition and to study its effects on the environment. The NADP operates 5 networks that monitor precipitation chemistry at more than 400 sites. The National Trends Network, the largest network with 250 sites, is the only network providing a long-term record of precipitation chemistry across the United States. The National Atmospheric Deposition Program Office and Central Analytical Laboratory are housed at the Illinois State Water Survey, part of the Prairie Research Institute at the University of Illinois. The Big Springs Fish Hatchery in Clayton, Iowa, the National Trends Network site closest to Joe Daviess County, is operated by the U.S. Geological Survey. Sites are located away from urban areas and point sources of pollution. Each site has a precipitation chemistry collector and gauge. The automated collector ensures that the sample is exposed only during precipitation. Site operators follow standard operational procedures to help ensure data comparability and representativeness. They collect samples weekly on Tuesday morning. All samples are sent to the Central Analytical Lab for analysis, data entry, verification, and screening. The lab measures pH, conductance, calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, sulfate, nitrate, chloride, and ammonium. The data is available on the NADP website and can be viewed in a variety of formats. NADP provides the raw data, which is used by others in a variety of ways. A substantial amount of water quality data is collected in order to comply with the Federal Clean Water Act. In Illinois, these responsibilities have been delegated to the state EPA. The Clean Water Act requires that municipal, industrial, and commercial facilities discharging wastewater or stormwater directly from a point source, such as pipes or man-made ditches, into a water of the United States, such as a lake or river, must obtain a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES, permit. This permit program controls water pollution so that the water bodies receiving the discharge can maintain established water quality standards to protect the beneficial uses of those water bodies. The IEPA is also required to assess surface waters each year, which they document in the 305B report. Surface water assessments, based primarily on biological, water, physical habitat, and fish tissue information collected from various monitoring programs, are used to create the annual 303D list of impaired waters. Illinois EPA's Ambient Water Quality Monitoring Network has 3 fixed stations on Joe Daviess County tributaries to support surface water chemistry data needs. Samples are collected every 6 weeks and analyzed for a minimum of 55 universal parameters, including field pH, temperature, specific conductance, dissolved oxygen, suspended solids, nutrients, fecal coliform bacteria, and total and dissolved heavy metals. Intensive river basin surveys are conducted on a 5-year rotational basis in cooperation with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. These intensive river basin surveys are a major source of information for annual 305B assessments. Chemical and biological data are collected. Fish tissue contaminant and sediment chemistry sampling are also conducted to screen for the accumulation of toxic substances. The last survey in our area was done in 2010, and the next survey will be in 2015. Data is available upon request. The IEPA is currently setting total maximum daily loads for contaminants entering the Galena River, Cincinnati River, and Frentress Lake. After questions raised at 2 public meetings, additional testing of these water bodies is being done to try to answer questions about potential sources of the contamination. This information and the conclusions drawn will be presented at public meetings in the summer of 2015. One of the results of the area's geological history is an abundance of springs scattered across the county. While some spring location data can be found in old plat books, a complete survey of the geographic, topographic, and stratigraphic location of springs in the county is lacking. Benjamin Moss, a graduate student at Illinois State University, collected Joe Daviess County water samples from 6 springs and 6 streams in late 2008 through early 2010 for his master's thesis. The data presented in the thesis, which is available online, is the only known spring water quality data currently available for Joe Daviess County. Spring locations were selected near the proposed CAFO site near Nora in order to assess water quality differences geographically and over time. Moss's stated intent was also to establish baseline chemistry data for comparison with future data to monitor for potential changes in water quality. One spring, Hicks Spring, showed little local influence, suggesting it comes from a deep source unadulterated by shallow groundwater, surface water, and associated contaminants. As such, it is a particularly useful reference for determining natural background groundwater chemistry for the area. The Moss data is being analyzed in greater depth by scientists at the State Water and Geological Surveys in the context of other available information. The Illinois Environmental Protection Agency regulates community public water systems. In order to ensure that a public water supply is providing a safe, clean, adequate supply of water to the consumer, it's necessary to collect representative samples of the water and have them analyzed by a certified laboratory on a routine basis. Sampling, combined with proper operational testing, and record-keeping with periodic facility inspection, is an effective means of documenting the safety and quality of the water reaching the consumer. Those operating community water systems must provide their customers with annual consumer confidence reports that include basic information on the water source, the levels of any contaminants detected in the water, and compliance with other drinking water rules. The IEPA produces annual compliance reports that summarize information on the public systems in the state. The Illinois Department of Public Health, through its Rockford Regional Office, oversees construction and operation of non-community public water systems. They test non-community water supplies with 15 or less service connections and supplies at private operations with more than 25 employees. The state is required to test for coliform and nitrates once per year at operations with transient populations like campgrounds, hotels, and gas stations. The Joe Daviess County Health Department does this testing for the state. Non-transient, non-community wells, like those at Rentec and Long Hollow Point, are tested by the state inspectors and are also required to have a certified operator. These records are available upon request. Dairy farm wells are tested every 3 years for coliform bacteria. If the test is positive, then the well is tested for E. coli bacteria. If E. coli is found, owners are told to sanitize their system and then they are resampled. One inspector noted that generally it is found that work has been done on the system and sanitation is required as a result, or that a well cap needs to be put on, tightened, or replaced. Data is available upon request. The Joe Daviess County Health Department tests private wells when a baby is born, a new well is drilled, and when there is a doctor's order following gastrointestinal issues. They may also do well testing after a flood event. They test for coliform, E. coli, nitrates, and nitrites. They have cumulative data going back to 1993, about 4,000 samples. Annual reports created to summarize the test results are available upon request. In early June of 2014, Sam Pano of the State Geological Survey and Walt Kelly of the State Water Survey sampled 10 wells across Joe Daviess County. The wells were carefully selected to eliminate issues that might be related to well age. 1991 was the oldest well. Wells were selected with locations, according to bedrock mapping, and depths, 160 feet and less, indicating withdrawal from the Galena-Platteville aquifer. The water samples were tested for a variety of parameters, including tritium concentration. Tritium, a radioactive isotope of hydrogen, can be used to help date water. The data collected from these well samples can help us understand the processes that are taking place in the local system. For example, this graph shows the relationship between nitrate levels and groundwater age, measured using tritium, documenting denitrification that takes place over time. The purpose for the testing is to begin to provide the breadth and quality of data necessary to establish natural and current background groundwater chemistry for the area, and to begin to create a hydrogeological model to explain and eventually predict the stratification of contaminants found at various groundwater depths. This data is currently being analyzed, and additional well testing is anticipated. Data collection, storage, and analysis can be expensive. There is a growing interest in the development of citizen scientist data collection. Volunteers are trained to collect and submit data to a central storage point. The volunteers serve as sensors on the landscape, able to collect more data at more frequent intervals and from a broader geographic area than would otherwise be financially or practically possible. There are various citizen scientist groups that collect water quality data. The IEPA's Volunteer Lake Monitoring Program, established in 1981, has active participants monitoring Apple Canyon Lake and Lake Galena. Data going back to 1994 has been collected by volunteers with Tier 1 training, and this data is available online. In addition to general observations, volunteers with Tier 2 and Tier 3 training collect samples for chemical analysis, take lake bottom samples, and complete depth temperature profiles. There is no EPA volunteer monitoring program for waterways. However, an EPA Quality Assurance Project Plan is in place for the Illinois River Watch network. River Watch is a stream monitoring program that trains volunteers to conduct habitat and biological surveys, including the collection and identification of small stream organisms called macroinvertebrates that serve as bioindicators of water quality. The quantity and nature of the macroinvertebrates found are used to assess stream quality and identify trends over time. Volunteers monitor a stream once each year in the spring. The program strives to collect consistent, high-quality data on the conditions of local streams. River Watch was initiated in 1995 as part of the Critical Trends Assessment Project, an Illinois Department of Natural Resources project. In February of 2006, responsibility for River Watch was officially transferred to the National Great Rivers Research and Education Center, located at the confluence of the Illinois, Missouri, and Mississippi rivers. There is some historical data for 4 waterways in Daviess County for the years 1996 through 2009. This data is available upon request. Is sufficient water quality data being collected in Daviess County to allow for meaningful planning and appropriate project implementation to achieve science-based stewardship? Is the data being analyzed and presented in ways that make it usable for the general public? Would additional strategic data collection be useful? Would an expanded volunteer monitoring program be of value? What do you think?